Hello and welcome back to Everything Tumbler Tutorials. My name is Rebecca and I'm a Tumbler designer. And in this video, I'm so excited to show you how we created the leopard print design using a stencil. Remember, everything shown in this tutorial will be listed and linked down for you below. Now with all that, let's go ahead and get started. So diving right into this tutorial, you'll notice that I've already spray painted after having prepped and cleaned my tumbler. Spray painted with Rust-Oleum using prickly pear and the coral. So I can go in and glitter ombre with Sassy Hot Girl, which are both iridescent finds from AB Designs. To apply my glitter, I am again going to be using the Turbo Fast Set from Counterculture DIY. Though I spray painted the tumbler in an ombre design, it's always advisable and recommended to use a spray paint color that is closest to the glitter in which you're going to be using, especially when using iridescent finds. Once we're happy with our epoxy coverage, it's really important to go ahead and hit this with the heat torch, not only to pop those bubbles, but to help relax the lines we've created by applying the epoxy. Once we're ready to apply the glitter, I'm going to start here at the top rim, pretty much trying to keep my tumbler at a nice horizontal level. Then I'm going to turn it about 90 degrees, allowing that glitter to shift downward. Once I'm happy with the top rim and I have a nice coverage around that rim, I'll do the same thing here at the bottom, getting a nice solid coverage around that bottom rim and then again tilting the tumbler about 90 degrees. When doing ombres, if you're struggling, using two colors that are very similar really does help. It'll give you that opportunity to get practice under your belt before moving on to something that's a little more in contrast. When I'm working with two very similar glitters, such as in this case, I like to do what I call a glitter dump. So at this point, because I'm downward with the tumbler, I'm going to glitter dump the Hot Girl. Then I'll reposition this tumbler going 90 degrees downward and glitter dump Sassy. I really do hope that that made sense. Sometimes it's very difficult to get what I'm doing across in words. When we're completely happy with the glitter ombre, it's time to go ahead and set this off to the side and let it fully cure. This did not need to be sealed before moving on to the first coat of epoxy. For this coat of epoxy, I'm going to be using the Turbo Fast Set from Counterculture DIY. We're going to allow this to fully cure before moving on to the next step. Once you're happy with your epoxy coat, don't forget to use your heat torch to pop any bubbles you may or may not be able to see. Now that our Turbo Fast Set has fully cured, it's time to move into the design phase. Start off by using the Sun Yellow from Rust-Oleum for our focal point of the stencils. The stencil I'm using, I actually bought several from Amazon and I'll be sure to have them listed and linked for you down below. The smaller they are, the easier they are to work with, especially when working with a tumbler. The larger cheetah print didn't really work out so well, so I went ahead and stuck with the smaller print. I could not take you outside to show you how I sprayed this on the tumbler. However, I just wanted to demonstrate that I just held it nice and tight, though you can tape this if you'd prefer. But for me personally, when I'm holding the stencil and I spray it, I like to remove the stencil immediately. So I just simply hold it nice and tight, obviously with gloved hands, and I spray it very, very gently, very, very softly, and from a distance so that I didn't have one huge blob. So now that it's sprayed, I'm going to show you the release, which is super simple and super quick. Here I want to show you, in some cases, you will have an overspray, such as this particular section. I did not have an overspray in all of my sections, but in some of them I did. I preferred using a paper towel and acetone and just wiping that off. And I did this if I had an overspray before I moved on to the next section. I really did have a lot of fun using the stencils, and I preferred using spray paint over acrylic. Here you'll see where I added a little bit of the accent again with the coral and the prickly pear, just to bring in a little bit of color and just dressing the whole tumbler up with the design. So the inspiration for this tumbler was simply based off the summer vibes. I'm so ready for summer to get here because I'm over this cold weather here in Florida. So I wanted to go ahead and add in the decal, and then I could overlap once the decal was placed, which you'll soon see in an upcoming clip. This is a Summer Vibes decal from AB Designs, and it does have the white backing, so it makes it very vibrant on a colored tumbler. Once I had my decal in place, I went ahead and took it back out and continued to add a little bit more of the leopard design off camera. Once this fully dried, after adding a little bit more of the spray painted leopard design, it was now ready for another coat of epoxy. For this coat of epoxy, I'm going to be using the Artist Resin from Counterculture DIY. Once we're happy with the epoxy application, we're going to allow this to fully cure for at least 6 to 8 hours and expect it to take a little bit longer depending on your temperature and climate. As always, make sure you use your heat torch to pop any bubbles you may or may not be able to see. Here's where you get the chance to see the bold of the yellow and the accented colors of the prickly pear as well as the coral. I really think this was such a fun little design that's hassle-free, and this can be done in so many different variants of colors. So I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. And that's it for this tutorial. This tumbler did need one more final coat before it was fully completed. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If so, please be sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more tutorials coming soon. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to drop them down below. Remember, everything shown in this tutorial will be listed and linked for you down in the description below. Be sure to stay tuned for next week's tutorial. Bye!